What's going on, everyone? It's your favorite jealous hater Apoc, and welcome to the most positive and uplifting channel on the platform. So last time on Dragon Vlog Z, we talked about how Kyra got triggered over a comment where somebody said all she does is post ads. I couldn't tell you why this upset her. I mean, it's true, but apparently it hurt her little heart. So much so that even after she addressed it, she posted another ad, which is just delicious. You really can't make this shit up. But today's topic really isn't about a vlogger's need to manipulate her audience into thinking she vlogs just for memories, but instead we'll be talking about a vlogger's need to manipulate her audience into thinking that she has some sort of credibility when it comes to giving relationship advice. Now obviously this is going to be for entertainment purposes only. Do not take anything she says to heart, because I know for damn sure that I'm not going to take any advice from someone who begged for an engagement ring that she picked out, by the way, and then played pretend when Oscar proposed to her. Okay, grab your caffeine, folks.
Alright guys, I'm about to film my Topic Tuesday for today. We are doing sex after kids, and I want to know, I was literally just about to film this. Should I do this as a live every Tuesday, or should I do it in my stories? What are we thinking? Because it could get long, you know me.
Soon you'll find out. She barely knew what to say. So how is she gonna make this a weekly thing? Plus, if she's anything like Oscar, she'll just do it once or twice, and then all of this will just disappear into the wind.
Alrighty, boys and girls, today we're getting down and dirty with this topic.
Did she just assume my gender?
I actually love this topic. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about.
Oh well, here we go with the Just Fam rhetoric.
I am like not afraid to talk about sex. I love talking about sex.
In general, like on social media, off social media, we loathe. No, I think that means you hate.
So why is it a thing where vlog moms either don't know how to actually use words or just put a different meaning behind them? Karen's new little vlog title speaks volumes. All my kids finally learns how to swim. Do they even try to sound smart? My ass has a speech impediment and I speak better than they do. At least I know what words mean and how to use them.
First and foremost, if you're under 18, just click away. This is inappropriate. Your poor ears.
I like how she's trying to throw in a disclaimer here, but not on her family vlog channel, where in that blooper vlog or whatever, she was low-key giving Oscar an over-the-pants hand job.
Baby, this is why you need to write notes. We're already 2 minutes in. Stop grabbing me there.
On camera, in front of their kid audience with no warning. But yeah, sis, go off.
But for everybody else, it's now us adults. We can talk the dirty talk.
Oh yeah, she's just like Just Fam. So on top of being illiterate, vlogging moms claim to love sex and talking about sex, but have issues actually speaking about it. And when they finally do, when they're in the hot seat and the spot's on them, they fold and don't know what to say or act like a 16-year-old girl.
Okay, as I'm sitting here, I'm trying to think of like what to say. What about the topic do you guys want to know?
See what I'm talking about? Loves sex, loves talking about it, but has no clue of what to say. Again, does this remind you of anyone?
There's so many questions about the threesome. I know you guys are very intrigued by that. I just don't really know, like, what questions do you want to know about it?
It's like all these vloggers are all carbon copies of each other. Not one unique bone in their body.
But Just Fam's a teen mom. She's special.
Yeah, well, she was one. She's not anymore, even though she likes to cling on to it. And Kyra was a teen mom as well. And Karen from KK and Baby J somehow gets grandfathered into that label as well. Even though that makes no sense because she was 22 when she had her first kid. But hey, I'm just jelly.
And I feel like the thing people want to know most is how often people have sex after kids.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole point here. Sex after kids. What is it like? It's pretty simple shit. She just claimed to be someone who loves to talk about sex or loathes to talk about sex, but when it comes right to it, she doesn't know what to say.
There's been one period specifically in our relationship where we went 6 months because after I had Leia, I had like some pelvic floor issues. Like it was basically uneven and yada yada.
Wow, 6 months, huh? That's a long time. But let's see what her little caption says.
It was a very hard point in our relationship because our sex life is a huge part of Oscar's love language.
Yeah, so what she's saying right there is that Oscar can't show his love for her unless they're having sex, which is a big issue, by the way. You should be able to show you care, your love for basically your wife when she's in pain. But from what she just said, It sounds like he was causing issues during that time, even though she was the one in pain.
I felt so terrible, but it was extremely painful.
Why would she feel terrible when she's the one in pain, not him? The only thing he doesn't get to do is have sex with you to show his love or whatever. To be frank, I think he showed that he doesn't actually care about Kyra. Don't get me wrong, I understand how it could be hard not having sex, but when your partner is in extreme pain like that and literally cannot do that, you shouldn't be causing issues. If you're causing issues and you can't show that you care outside of the bedroom, especially in those moments, then you really don't give a damn.
It's just always ebbs and flows, obviously, with how busy we are, what we're doing with work, kids, life, and I think that's just adulthood in general. Like, even for people that don't have kids, I think your sex life always changes.
To be real, you can't really compare sex life when you have kids and sex life without kids. They are not the same thing at all.
But I feel like the biggest things that helped our sex life that may seem really cheesy is to schedule it.
Well, that sounds rather boring. Don't really know how you can do that. I mean, she does have a lot of help with her children, so it's probably a lot easier for her than it is for, per se, a regular person. Plus, a vlogger's version of busy isn't really all that busy.
For cheesy and something that maybe isn't necessary. But again, even if you don't have kids, this is a great tip because I feel like it gives both people an opportunity to really talk about, like, okay, I want it this often, and maybe this person doesn't want it as much or wants it more, so you can like find a way to meet in the middle and really have open conversation about it, which I also feel like is key that I'll get into.
Yeah, I really don't think that she's the one that should be talking about open communication in relationships. I think that ship has sailed. And what is she talking about when she says one wants more, one wants less, and meeting in the middle? What does that even mean? So you guys having conversations about how many times you're gonna have sex, but I thought you didn't have sex that much, which is why you're scheduling it in the first place. None of this makes any sense.
It forces you to set aside time for each other, and obviously, sometimes it won't work as planned.
Well, first off, here we go with the illiteracy here. She spelled obvious wrong. Kyra, do you really think it's spelled like that? And secondly, forces you to set aside time for you and your partner. Just understand the wording there. Understand the context of what she's saying. She easily could have said that it makes you set aside time for you and your partner, but no, forces you. Force and making are two different things. It kind of sounds like Kyra is being forced to meet in the middle to have sex that she does not want to have.
And that's okay, but it will most definitely lead to some improvements in your sex life.
Which it's funny because from what it sounds like, their sex life is pretty damn dull.
And sex, even though it's like such an important thing, it can be portrayed as such a minor thing, and I'm definitely guilty of that. Sex is not as important to me as it is to Oscar, for sure. That's not my love language at all.
And here we go with the love language crap again. So you're gonna tell us that the only way basically your husband can show his affection and love for you, show that he cares about you, is through sex, and that's it? Sex and sex alone, not through the little things in life? I mean, come on, we are talking about Oscar here. He ditched Kyra for her Disney birthday gift so he can fuck off and go skydiving. It just sounds like he wants to have sex. If he actually cared about you, he wouldn't have created problems while you were in pain. See, people truly show that they care about you in certain situations, and that was one of the times Oscar could have shined and showed Kyra outside of sex that he cared about her, but he failed.
In fact, I would say physical touch is like my lowest on the love language spectrum. Like, I do not like physical touch, even hugs, not about it. We don't like PDA, kissing, sex scenes in movies, no.
Hey Kyra, is this you? Yeah, I'm not too sure how sex scene in movies and you being touched correlate together, but what I do know is that somebody who portrays themselves online as someone who does like to be hugged and kissed by their significant other actually and truthfully wants and needs that sort of affection. Hence why you harass Oscar for an engagement ring. For somebody that claims they don't dig public displays of affection, you sure do want the public to know about your affection and the means to your relationship, which a ring definitely signifies. She's also based a lot of her content not just on pregnancy or children's pain, but a relationship too, which she's still trying to actively do more than ever. And if sex isn't your love language, and neither is kissing, hugging, or being caressed, then what the hell is? Because you're cutting out some really big factors in a relationship.
Overall, I just feel like scheduling it forces you to set aside time for each other and like makes both parties feel like they're meeting in the middle, which, by the way, I'm talking so much with my hands, but you know, I don't know how else to talk.
Again, here she goes with the forcing and meeting in the middle crap. If you're literally scheduling time and dates to have sex, why do you have to meet in the middle? Apparently you don't have time for sex. So again, what's there to agree upon?
So the other thing that I feel like is a huge thing, again, you don't have to have kids for this to be a tip, and that is open conversation. Open conversation with anything in your relationship is great. Like, just being able to talk to your partner is key.
This is coming from a chick whose partner was low-key planning to leave her, all because she didn't let him live his life. Dude would rather go skydiving than to take care of his family. And to be frank, the only thing that truly stopped him wasn't Kyra, wasn't his kids, it was that he broke his back rock climbing. Now that's what we call karma.
So especially I feel like in your sex life, because for me personally, obviously when I first started having sex, I didn't know what I was doing. Either did the person I was sleeping with, like, we were just kind of winging it.
Yeah, everybody does that during the first time. Nobody knows what they're doing because they're not experienced enough.
Doing what we thought we were supposed to do, and sometimes what you're supposed to do doesn't actually satisfy you.
What the hell does she mean by what you're supposed to do? Who's actively out here telling people what they should and shouldn't be doing in the bedroom?
So as I got more open in my relationship with Oscar and said, I do like this, I don't like that, do more of this, do less of this, it made me like sex more, which makes me want to have it more.
Yeah, that's because you experimented. That's how it goes. You don't know much, you have sex, you keep having more sex, and you learn.
Okay, my last thing is a little bit dirtier, but this one is also, well, they're all key things, but this one is like really, this changed my sex life completely. So,
oh god, I bet it's anal.
Foreplay should not be forgotten. In fact, it should be one of the most important parts of sex, at least in my opinion. I obviously can't speak for everybody out there. Sex is so different for everybody.
Let's do this.
Foreplay serves as a physical and emotional purpose, helping women prepare both mind and body for sex. Many women need to be kissed, hugged, and caressed to create lubrication in the vagina, which is important for comfortable intercourse.
But you know, Kyra doesn't like to be touched or any of those things.
But if you're wanting to try new things, I definitely think if you haven't really tried foreplay or you don't do it for very long, that you should do it for longer or do it in the first place.
Are there people actively out here not touching each other? Foreplay just seems so normal to me. Is it not common? Comment down below and tell me if it's common or not, because it just baffles me that there's people out there not touching each other like that. It just seems like the go-to thing to do, especially in the beginning stages of sex. Oh, and again, Kyra, is this you?
Physical touch is like my lowest on the love language spectrum. Like, I do not like physical touch, even hugs, not about it. We don't like PDA, kissing, sex scenes in movies, no.
And that's what we call a contradiction, ladies. I feel like she Googled sex after children before making this video. It just seems like she's winging it. You know, like her sex life. Maybe she should go get more experience with everything that she's saying here before giving any advice.
Again, for me, there's so much more mental aspect to your sex life than people assume.
Okay, I know I've done it twice and I literally just did this, but Kyra, is this you?
Sex, even though it's like such an important thing, it can be portrayed as such a minor thing, and I'm definitely guilty of that. Sex is not as important to me as it is to Oscar, for sure. That's not my love language at all. There's so much more mental aspect to your sex life than people assume. Sex is not as important to me as it is to Oscar.
So sex isn't her love language, but it's a mental thing, which means it's emotional, and she doesn't like to be kissed, hugged, or caressed, but she digs foreplay. Bruh.
I keep wanting to say for girls, but I don't want to like generalize like that because I don't know, but I just feel that way.
Oh god, shut up.
It seems like it makes sex longer, which with kids can be hard, but it actually can make it faster because the time to make women finish is a ton less, and also because of the women's experience, it may make the partner finish faster as well.
Yeah, so what she's saying is that Oscar is the Minuteman, and I highly doubt someone like Oscar is gonna be generous in the bedroom. I mean, let's remember, this is a guy who only shows he cares about Kyra when he's sticking it to her.
I cannot just have sex like right away like this. We would have to not see each other for 6 months, and I don't
That's weird for people who don't have sex all that often. You would think it'd be really easy for you to hop on sex, especially after the fact that you say you don't like to be touched.
Anyways, that's pretty much it for like my tips that I have.
And as Karen would say, we learns nothing.
Sex with kids is pretty much the same as sex without kids, except you have less time for it. So you just have to make it more of a priority, which is why those tips are so important. Because the priorities aspect of it can be dreaded if you're not enjoying it or if you're not doing certain things to spice it up. So
you want to prioritize sex and make time for you guys, but then you dread it and maybe not even enjoy it, so you spice it up. Yet what we're about to get into is definitely not some spicy shit.
A really good one. My favorite position used to be this, but I no longer can do it because of how painful it is for whatever reason, and it is me on all fours with Oscar behind me.
So doggy style. You don't want to be kissed or touched, but you like getting like a dog.
This answer varies by the person, definitely, but for Oscar and I, no. We've always made it a priority because those are things that are very important in our sex life. So for us, no.
Oh, so oral is what she meant by Oscar's love language. I get it now. She prioritizes BJ's, but not holding hands.
It does not happen like you think. Like when we had no kids, it used to be like very spontaneous and like, I don't know, a lot sexier. And now it's basically like we're both laying in bed. Oscar will look at me and be like, and then I'm like, or vice versa, where I'm like, well, for me, I get like handsy feely and then he'll respond, you know?
Man, for someone who doesn't like to be touched, she sure has a lot of those touchy-feely moments, huh? And how is that planned out, scheduled sex? I mean, it may not be spontaneous, but it's still random. It's still impulsive, just capitalizing on quiet time. And if you're too busy to the point to where you're scheduling your sex life, why would you turn it down? We all saw her little squint. You want spicier sex, Kyra? Hop on the non-planned ones.
So it's definitely no like me doing dishes and he throws me on the counter type of deal. I would actually be very bothered by that. Like, let me finish the dishes.
Complains about sex not being sexy and spontaneous enough, but then complains about sexy and spontaneous moments.
But yeah, it's just very like, are you sleepy? Or that's what I'll say. Are you sleepy?
Oh yeah, that's real sexy.
To add to this one, I kind of answered this earlier, but there is definitely positions that you can't do or are very uncomfortable. And I wouldn't say the sex is the same. It's definitely more uncomfortable. Like for me, it was.
She's talking about chicken style.
Never really situations where the kids are like awake and within hearing distance. We definitely do it at like 2 a.m. I've never really had to like be quiet or anything because they're not usually.
Yeah, it's quite funny how she talks about scheduled and planned out sex, yet we got no examples of that. All the examples she gave was at 2 a.m, looking at each other in bed, just all these random impulsive moments. Pretty weird for somebody who's advocating for prioritizing your sex life.
Tell me what comes to mind when you think of sex after kids.
Sex after kids. Long, waiting to happen. Time frames, like 3 weeks sometimes. What the hell? Sometimes 6 months.
One time!
6 months. Can you believe that? Never would I have imagined that. But other than that, it's still pretty good. As a matter of fact, it brings up more tension. There's like, it's time to do it now. Let's get it.
Yeah, like I said, it really doesn't sound like they plan out anything. This is all just capitalizing on moments. Although I do think, mention things such as meeting in the middle, forcing time together, and not making time for the sex they plan out. It's sex that she doesn't really want to have. She just said one wants less and one wants more. Who do you think that is? Not really hard. Especially after Kyra stated that sex is more important to Oscar and not as important to her. And that Oscar only shows his love language through sex, while Kyra apparently doesn't even like being touched. Anyways, all you jealous haters, that's about it. Not really much else to say here. It doesn't really matter. None of this matters. I just thought it was really funny that Kyra, of all people, is giving relationship advice when the person that she's basically married to is the scum of the earth. In conclusion,
stop me, give up. When do you realize this is the mother of my children? I'm so fucking mean to her. I treat her like dirt.